the comp manual?
Actually, not really.
Sure, she's not perfect. Excuse me?
But she's perfect for the job.
Thank you so much.
This time I'm going to install an aftermarket used radio in a car where the previous owner chopped the wires. So that'll be fun. Okay, so my neighbor recently got a car and the previous owner took the radio, they cut the wires. This is really silly and stupid because the factory radios, they have theft lock and you can't reuse them. So anyway, they took the old radio out and now there's a bunch of cut wires. They're not identified. Usually you can buy these harnesses at Walmart and they just plug into your car harness, but somebody's cut the plug and everything, cut it right off. This is actually for the heater control, so don't worry about that. So I've identified the orange wire as power. I have a test light here. So I used the test light and I found that the orange wire is live and it's a constant live. And then once I find the power wire, I turn the test light around and I clip it to the positive, to the power. And that'll enable me to find the ground wire by probing. And I found the ground wire was black. So orange and black is pretty straightforward. That's good. In this car you can pop the trunk and you can look at the speakers. So I looked at the speakers and I found the speaker wire colors. And you can sometimes, if there's no amplifier, you can find the corresponding colors. So if you look in the trunk you might find like green and tan, and those will be one speaker. Or you can check the other side and you can tell what color the speaker wires are in the trunk. You might not be able to do that in the door speakers, but sometimes you can have a look at the speakers and see what color is which. This car here has some that are twisted together, and there's exactly 4 piles that are twisted together, and there's 4 speakers. So I assumed that this would be one speaker, this would be one speaker, this would be one speaker, and the other 2 I untwisted them down here. So pretty much every radio, these aftermarket ones, they have 2 power wires. The yellow is constantly live. It always has power. It'll remember your radio stations and it'll keep the clock running. The red one turns off when you turn the key off. So when you turn the key off, the radio should turn off. These newer GMs, 2000 and up, they only have 1 power wire, the constant. So you have to take the switched power from somewhere else. I found it here with the test light. Turn the key on and off, and this comes on and off with the key, and this runs the heater control. So I'm just going to tap into the heater control to get my power. Most cars will have 2. This car has 1, so that'll be my switched ignition, and when I turn my key on, I'll just wrap the red wire around that and tape it up real good when I'm done with it. Most of these aftermarket radios are very easy to wire up. The speaker wires are always color coded, so there's 2 whites, that's one speaker, 2 greens, that's another speaker, 2 purples, that's another speaker, and 2 gray. So there's white, green, purple, and gray, and those are speakers. So they're pretty easy to identify. And then there's power, ground, constant live, and switched power. So these are pretty easy to identify. Sometimes there'll be a blue wire for your to run your amplifier or your power. If you have a power antenna, this will turn on your amplifier or your power antenna. This is called a remote wire, this blue one. And some factory cars have amps as well. And some of these will have an orange wire as well, which will control illumination. So if you have illumination settings, you can make it brighter and dimmer by using your illuminator here. So this one doesn't have an orange wire, but it's going to be very simple. ground, power, switched power, and speakers. So I know these 4 are speakers, and I know these 4 are speakers. So I'm going to go ahead and put them together. If you want your fader and left and right to work, you'll have to identify which is the front, which is the rear, which is the left, which is the right. You can do that by operating the stereo temporarily. These here, I'll throw up a pinout so you'll know that which one is white, which one is purple, and which one is green, and which one is gray. And then you'll put the corresponding speaker to the corresponding speaker. So it seems for me every car is different, but in this case these are going to be the speakers, and I'll just tap into them, power, and away you go. Okay, I'm going to start twisting some wires together, and that's not so bad. I can use crimp connectors and shrink tubes and stuff like that, but I've got some pretty good tape and I'm pretty good at twisting them together. This is some pretty wide stuff and flexible, soft, it's good stuff. When I took the stereo harness, when I took this Walmart harness off, they had done the same thing. They had them twisted together, but they did a good job, and if you do a good job, that's okay. So I have this method that my cousin taught me, and it's the same method that when I took this apart, these were all twisted together the same way. So I'm not just going to take them and twist them together like this, and then they're going to stick out. They're going to stick out here. I'm not going to do that. What I am going to do is I'm going to cross them. I'm going to make like an X or a cross, just like that. Hopefully you can see that. And I leave a little bit of wire under and a little bit over. So that makes like a cross. And I'll take the ends that are sticking out and I'll wrap them around the opposite wire. So I'll take the end of the orange wire, and I'll wrap it around the base of the yellow. And then I'll take the yellow wire and I'll wrap it around the base of the orange. And if you do a good job, they're in line, so there's nothing sticking out. And they're pretty strong as well if you have a good length and wrap them around each other. So I'm just going to twist them together and use some good tape. This is some of the best electric tape I've seen in a while. It's really flexible and soft and wide, sticky, really good stuff. I'm a firm believer that if you do a good job, that there's nothing wrong with wrapping wires or twisting them together. So I've done the black to black and the orange to yellow because I know that those are power and ground for sure. So I got those together. And I'm going to start stripping the speaker wires and I'll start connecting them. There's also the switched power wire, which a lot of these newer GMs don't have, so I'm going to find it somewhere else. I'm going to find it on the heater control here. You can also find it in the fuse panel sometimes. So I'm just going to take the ones that I know and I'm going to start hooking them up.
What are you making out?
Good.
Everything working?
I think so. Okay, I got the radio harness here. None of the speakers, none of them are hooked up.
Okay.
But I can plug this in because I've got the ground wire hooked up and the 2 power wires. You might want to be careful your speaker wires aren't touching each other, or you might want to not turn the radio on. But that I can plug it in now and I can test it. Okay, the clock's working. I'm not going to turn it on because the speaker wires are all bare, but I can see there that that's working. Now I just got to hook up the speaker wires, and Bob's your uncle. Alright, I went on the internet and I googled wiring diagram, radio wiring diagram. Yeah, this is, like I said, the blue is your remote wire, yellow is your constant power, red is your switched power, orange is illumination, I mentioned that already, but now I know the speakers. White is left front, gray is right front, green is left rear, and purple is right rear. Okay, I'm just going to test it. Oh, the power came on. Hey, is that speaker working? Yeah?
Yeah, I can hear it.
Okay. This is just a radio I had laying around, but aftermarket radios are easier to work with. Like I said, the original one is useless. I don't know why the guy saved it, because they go into theft mode or lock mode if you tried to put them in a different vehicle. I got the wires taped up, hooked up, so I turn the key on and the stereo comes on just like it should. Right now the antenna is not hooked up, so it's nothing but fuzz, but it's working. And the speakers weren't too difficult. I just hooked up one random speaker. It was pretty easy for me to tell which ones were the speakers because they're all braided and twisted, and there's exactly 4 of them. Like I said, you can also check your colors of your speaker wires in the trunk or whatever. You can look at the wires and see what color they are. I just hooked up one random speaker, and it was the left front speaker started playing, so I knew that that random one, or those 2 random wires, I knew they were for the left front speaker. So I hooked them up to the white, because white is left front, and then the next one just happened to be the right front, so I hooked them up to the gray. So if you're wondering, every car is different, and this one is different for sure compared to some of the other cars I've seen. But if you're wondering, the right front are twisted green pair, and the left front are tan and green, and the rear speakers are blue and black and brown. This doesn't fit in here very well, and GM uses a bigger radio, bigger than this. It's called a 1.5 DIN or 1.5 DIN. This is a single DIN, and then some are double DIN, which is like twice as tall as this. And this is a 1.5 DIN adapter made for a GM car. So this is going to line up, the bolts are going to line up. This will just fit here, and there's a pin there, everything lines up, the holes and screws. So that allows the radio to slide in here and lock into place, and it'll look a little more factory. It'll fit the hole a lot better. So I just got to put the screws in there. So that's going to be pretty straightforward. The wiring's done. The biggest hurdle now is somebody cut the antenna also. This is like a coax type. Most of the antennas are like a coax type wire cable. So they're not fun to re-splice or to fix them, but it can be done. This is the antenna wire. You can tell because it's like a coax type. That means there's wire around the outside, and there's like a central wire in the middle. So I'm going to have to peel back several layers on several different lengths to fix that. This is probably not the proper way to strip this, but the stripper almost fits. So coax has 2 wires. There's the outer wire and the inner wire. So I can twist the outer wires together Sometimes you can separate them like that. And then there's one more on the inside, the inner wire. It looks pretty fine. Yeah, that inner wire is very fine. So you can get this adapter, and the big plug fits all the aftermarket radios, and your small one can plug in this end. So I think I'm going to sacrifice this, and I'm just going to cut it, and that'll allow me to have a good end that I can splice onto this wire here. I've got this wire separated pretty good. So there's one fine wire in the center, and there's the outer. So I've got them separated into 2 wires, and I should be able to splice it back together again, hopefully. I'm going to take this adapter and I'm going to sacrifice it. I'm going to cut the end off that we don't need. I'll probably try to keep some length, because since somebody cut this off foolishly and childishly, that we're going to need as much length as we can get. So now I've cut this off, and it'll plug into the radio. I just have to strip this back and splice it together. Oh, that came apart really easy. This adapter seems, maybe it's cheaper wire than the factory wire, maybe. Sometimes these wires are tangled together and wrapped around in quite the fashion, so sometimes I'll unwrap them and just to get them all off to one side. And then I'll have to strip that centerpiece, find the center wire. I think I can get a little bit more of this sheathing off. Got a new pocket knife when I was at the swap meet. Just like that. My hands are super dirty, but anyway, now I have some wires to work with. Cut that tin foil off of there. I'm going to try to just put these together, basically. I'll just take the center 2 wires and twist those together. This is probably not the most ideal way to do things, but I'm just working with somebody else's catastrophe. Then I'll twist these other wires together here. So what I've done is I've taken these 2 cut ends and put these 2 together and these 2 together. Hopefully you'll never have to do this, because this is terrible. But when someone cuts the coax, they're not the easiest type of wires to read. Ow! That's sharp. Anyway, when you join coax wires, they're not the easiest to rejoin. So I'll probably wrap some extra tape around the bottom so they don't come apart and wiggle. And I'll go ahead and test it, most importantly. Okay, so this is going to be a moment of truth. I got the antenna repaired and taped up, so yeah, this is going to be a moment of truth. I'm already confident in the wiring and stuff. If you had bad lighting or bad angle before, this is the receiver. And there's a nice little cubby hole in here too if you want to stash something, or yeah. What do you think? Do you have faith in my antenna?
I don't know.
In my antenna skills? Let's find out if she works. Lots of pretty colors. Hey!
Holy jeez, how you turn the speaker?
I'm gonna get a copyright or something. Anyway.
101.
Soleil's iconic masterpiece, Alegria. See it for the music, the costumes, and the stunning feats. See it now until November 24th.
Everything's working.
At Ontario Place.
Even the heater controls. So yeah, everything's working. The antenna's working, speakers, radio, power. That means I can bolt it down. I just wanted to test it and make sure it was
Try
working.
101.
Try 101, he says. 101. Oh, isn't that funny?
100.1.
That's funny. Oh, is it changing colors?
70% of the Earth is covered by water. Why not explore the world on a cruise from exotic Europe to the friendly Caribbean and then...
There you go.
100.1?
Yep.
Sounds a lot better than the other radio station. Well,
That's Belleville Station.
there, she works. Well, I haven't had as much time to work on the fire turd not as much time as I'd like to have. But I think the last thing I did was I built this intake. I guess I better finish this radio install. So there's a sleeve that goes around the stereo, and the sleeve slides into this faceplate adapter. And you can bend these metal tabs. You can bend them so that way the sleeve stays in there. It slides in one way and it has a lip here, so you bend those tabs and that holds it in. Then there's locking tabs on the side here, and the stereo will latch into those. Oh, she's tight. Tight is good though, right? There. So I got the stereo slid in there. This is a used stereo, used faceplate. Just something so he has some radio to listen to. I needed a little more room in behind there because this is a deep CD player and it goes in there pretty deep, so I chopped out some of the plastic. Should fit in there now. Whoever took the radio, the previous owner, was nice enough to leave the screws behind. Look at how filthy my hands are, oh my goodness. There we go. Well, I went and got a different radio. The other one was kind of iffy, but the thing about the Sony radios is they all have the same plug-in. So I just unplugged the wire in the same case, so I just slid it in and plugged it in. And yeah, this one fits a little better too. The other one was kind of sketchy, I don't know.
Pour toi, c'est un...
And inspired its new generation of wine. Venture Series, 100% on
Okay. So, I guess I can put her back together again since the stereo works. Only one thing left to do, and that's to put this little trim plate face. Oh no, that won't fit now, will it? Wonder if the faceplate comes off. Wouldn't be so lucky. Oh, there we go.
Is that in the comp manual?
Actually, not really.
Sure, she's not perfect. Excuse me?
But she's perfect for the job.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
More points.
Rebates under employee price, up to 75.